Russia intends to keep fighting. Next year, the Kremlin has allocated a record share of military spending not seen since the Soviet era. Dugin insists that it is vital for the Russian Federation to continue the war and to thwart any attempts at a peaceful settlement. The reason will surprise you. Solovyov claims that Putin treats the military like his own children, though apparently these children are bastards. Western media report how Russians are being sent under Ukrainian drones without any equipment. A Russian soldier shot 7 of his fellow servicemen, and a dog agent blew up an apartment. Hello everyone, my name is Eva Nikolashvili, and this is the program In Trend. Like and subscribe because we're getting started. The Russian dictator isn't even thinking about stopping. He has no intention of ending the war against Ukraine, and all the manipulations with the peace plan are just for show. The new Russian budget proves it. The Kremlin has allocated a record share of military spending not seen since the Soviet era. Next year, in 2026, Russia will spend $166.8 billion on the military. More than $50 billion will also be spent on the security sector, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the National Guard, and Special Forces services. In total, Putin plans to spend $217 billion on the military and security sector, which is 38% of all Russian expenditures. For comparison, in 2021, the share of these sectors was only 24%. Of course, there is no free money. Sanctions are hitting the Russian Federation no matter how much Putin claims otherwise. But military spending is sacred for the Kremlin, so the money will be taken from other budget items. Ordinary Russians will once again bear the brunt. The increase in military spending is being ensured, for example, by reducing social expenditures. If previously 38% of the budget was allocated to this category, now social spending will drop to 25%. Support for the economy will also be reduced to 9 to 10%, which is the lowest in the past 20 years. And let's not forget that the war is financed not only from the federal budget. The regions also pay bonuses to contract soldiers, and banks are forced to lend to defense factories with loans that are essentially non-recoverable. And to keep people from asking too many questions, propaganda is in full swing in Russia. Everywhere you turn, they're shouting about a threat that only Putin can stop. Yes, life will be hard, but we just have to endure. Putin's favorite philosopher, Alexander Dugin, has also joined in. He openly says that the world is dangerous for Russia. According to Dugin, it is absolutely vital for Russia to continue the war and to thwart any attempts at a peaceful resolution. And all because Russians are a peace-loving people and will relax once the war is over.
I think that peace is dangerous for us, for our country in this situation when the collective West is against us. They have already decided they are waging war right now and plan to continue. And when they need a pause to rearm, that pause will actually benefit them militarily. But for us, it could be harmful because as soon as it starts, people will go on vacation. Our officials, our people will immediately, if the sanctions are lifted, I don't even know. That's it for us. It's simply the end because everything will leave. Everything will go back to Switzerland, to France, to
Courchevel.
It's just like, giving peace to us, to Russia, is like giving a dose to a drug addict. That's the great misfortune. We are such a peaceful people that we don't want to let war into our soul, our heart, our consciousness. We want to believe that overall everything is fine.
A peace-loving people who start wars themselves. Very interesting. But to put it simply, without all this veiled, eloquent nonsense, Dugin just knows that peace is a threat to Putin and his circle. How will the Tsar and his close associates profit if there is no war? How can you build a new palace without military spending that has skyrocketed? You'd think Russians would have long realized that they are treated as nothing, and that the fact they live in filth is entirely thanks to the Russian dictator. But no. For example, residents of dying Russian villages blame everything on the Americans. Didn't
work at the lumber mill. All of them are slowly dying out now. And unless some city-forming enterprise is built or some individual entrepreneur from the state shows up, it's unlikely that anything will happen here anytime soon. If something does get built, given the current situation, with the way the Americans are messing things up and hindering our development, I definitely won't live to see it. Even our children, who are already 40 years old, probably won't either. Maybe only our grandchildren by that time, unless something changes with Putin. You see, the enterprise, the union collapsed, all the factories and plants are gone, everything has to be rebuilt from scratch. And as for the Americans interfering, today everything depends on politics. It's funny to say, but the old folks don't understand, and all the young people here are drinking. I mean, it's funny to say, but even our weather today depends on political relations with the Americans. And
While Russians are drowning in poverty, the Kremlin dictator cracks jokes. Though, to be honest, he does it as poorly as everything else.
What's the name of your department?
The Department of Heating and Ventilation. I teach construction. Heating and ventilation. Excellent. I teach construction. We work with energy-efficient technologies, including renewable energy.
To put it simply, heating and ventilation. Money down the drain. Right? The whole token. We ventilate. All right, I'm joking.
We live a fun life. It doesn't get any more fun than this. As they say, there's a grain of truth in every joke, and the rest is reality. So, Russians, if your heating gets turned off, don't be surprised.
We live a fun life, gentlemen. Crisis. Well,
If Putin doesn't care about ordinary Russians, he sure loves his military. He treats them like his own children. Well, at least that's what Russia's chief propagandist, Solovyov, claims.
A soldier returning from the combat zone, often wounded, turns out to be in even greater danger than on the front lines. Truly significantly more perilous. Putin treats them like his own children.
Putty.
And what are you doing?
Hey, you step aside. Please come over here now, quickly.
According to Solovyov's logic, if such a hero comes to your home and starts beating your wife and child, don't try to do anything about it. In fact, you should even help him. By the way, let's talk about how Putin takes care of his soldiers. According to the Telegraph, Russia is increasingly sending its cannon fodder into battle without any equipment at all. The publication, citing the deputy commander of the 66th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, reports that out of the last 20 groups that attacked Ukrainian positions in the Lyman direction, only 4 were even somewhat equipped. He also says that many captured Russians probably didn't even know they were heading toward Ukrainian positions, since their commanders convinced them that supposed allies were ahead. In addition, the Russians have started using so-called camels, unarmed soldiers who carry ammunition to the front lines on foot. They are almost always detected and destroyed by Ukrainian drones. Usually, Russian commanders use this as a form of punishment for their subordinates, for example, for disobedience. They are deliberately sent to their deaths, thrown under Ukrainian drones without even being given a basic bulletproof vest or helmet. And so you don't say this isn't true, I'll immediately share video evidence of how the Russian command treats its soldiers. Here you go, occupiers. Little Christmas trees for you.
That's what happens when you drink too much booze.
ho, ho, ho. Merry, joyous Christmas.
Meanwhile, back in Russia, there's more activity involving the so-called heroes of the so-called special military operation. Contract soldier Sergei Yagushev shot 7 of his fellow servicemen in the village of Kamenka, Leningrad region, and fled. The incident actually happened back on Thursday, but they tried to cover it up. It didn't work. Now the military man is being searched for across the entire country. The last trace of Yagushev leads to the Belgorod region. Local residents are being advised to be especially vigilant. They say he's an armed psychopath, extremely dangerous, and has mental issues. And only in passing do they mention that he had just returned from captivity and was sent back to the army. Don't you think that this is exactly the reason he shot his fellow soldiers? I'm sure they wanted to send him to the front again, and suddenly he just didn't want to go. What do you think? Write your opinion in the comments, and also let me know which countries you're watching this video from and whether you support the Ukrainians' fight against the empire of evil. I really enjoy reading all your comments. And don't forget to like this video and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Meanwhile, in Saratov, a monument to the victims of domestic violence was demolished. The reason given was that it was imposed by Europe and is no longer relevant. The monument was installed back in 2010. It had plaques with contact information for services helping victims of domestic violence. ZID activists persistently pushed for the monument's removal. They claimed that the monument was imposed by European values. The authorities listened. Apparently, they agreed that the values of Iran and Afghanistan are closer to Russia after all. In the swamps, a dog blew up an apartment. A Russian man, when leaving home, left a can of dichlorvos on the stove. After the owner left, the dog decided to turn on the burner. There were bite marks left on the control knobs. The can heated up and the dog survived. He hid on the balcony. Must have been a Ukrainian agent. I even came up with a name for propaganda. SBU agent dog tried to blow up a Russian. What do you think? Write your own versions in the comments and don't forget to like this video. It's very important to us. And finally, my favorite segment, no analogues about Russian inventions. This time, let's talk about the OAZ. About the OAZ that costs more than 500,000 rubles. You'd think for that kind of money, it would have cutting-edge technology. But this is Russia, baby.
They're also crooked, aren't they?
I'll say it again. The assembly line for these vehicles, the old truck line it's called, is from 1969. It hasn't changed at all since 1969. Neither in terms of build quality, nor the metal, nor the paint. There's a separate assembly line at the Uryatovo plant that makes them.
And it costs $1.5 million, right?
$1,600,000. And you were hoping to see a multivan?
For $1.6 million, you'd at least expect some decent marketing.
How nice.
But in the showroom, you got shortchanged.
No, it didn't shortchange you. That's just how it is.
From the factory, guys. So at the factory, did they not bother to finish this? So this horror could be washed away? Do you want...
To make fun of the UAZ?
No, we want to buy a PVN.
But they're all like this. That's how they're made. It's not like this particular car is defective or anything. That's just how they make them at the factory.
Got it. Even the vent window is rusty.
The vent window is from 25.
For $1.6 million, they just screwed in self-tapping screws into the body, which is why it's rusting here. UAZ's technology is so advanced that even the rubber is rusty. It's not all straight here. They couldn't even make it even here.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.